Welcome to another badass video from Network Engineer Academy. So this is what I'm going to ask you to do right now, okay? For you to listen up and for you to take a lot of notes, because the information that I'm going to walk you through, the information that I'm going to teach you, this is something that I teach on my coaching program, okay? There is 3 ways that I teach on how to answer technical questions. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to walk you through only one on this video, but there's 3 ways, okay? So make sure you take a lot of notes, because remember, okay, one thing is for you to get the right information, and the other thing that makes a difference is for you to go through the process and be able to apply everything that I'm gonna teach you, okay? So make sure you take notes, because this will make a huge difference in how you're gonna go through the job interview process. And as you probably know, right, that I talk about how can you completely differentiate yourself from everyone else once you go through the job interview process. And this is just one step in how you're gonna be able to accomplish that. So make sure that you take a lot of notes, okay? Now, how to answer technical questions. And please go through the exercise that I'm gonna walk you through, okay? So you can compare. So let's say that that I'm gonna walk you through this process, right? And I'm gonna interview you. I'm the manager, okay? And you are in front of me. And obviously, once you go through the job interview process, you know they're gonna ask you a few technical questions. And you're probably thinking, and this is what most people think, like, okay, you know, in the next week, I have a face-to-face interview. And I need to be ready. I need to get prepared, because I know they're gonna ask me a few questions, and my job is for me to answer those questions properly, right? And that's the way that you go through that process, thinking that you're gonna be there to answer questions, and also to make sure that you answer those questions properly, right? The right answer. And if you go through your IT career or for the job interview process thinking that way, that's the reason probably that you're not getting the job. Because more likely there's gonna be other 20 people, they're gonna do the same. And it's hard, you know, for the managers or for the engineers, they're asking you questions for them to decide, you know, which one, because all of them did exactly the same, you know, and it's hard for any of them to differentiate themselves. It's really hard for us to hire someone, okay? And I know, because I ask questions, and I ask, you know, questions to IT managers, to recruiters, to, you know, high-paid network system engineers. So I get a lot of feedback from them. This is why, okay? So let's say that I have you in front of me, okay? So go through this exercise. And I ask you, can you tell me more about DNS, DHCP? And also, can you tell me more about VLANs? You know, what's a VLAN? Can you tell me more about that? Now, what I'm gonna ask you to do is for you to pause the video. How will you answer that question? Once again, I'm the manager, okay? And I ask you, you know, can you tell me more about DNS, about DHCP, or what's a VLAN? Can you tell me more? Now, pause the video and go through the process. You know, take 3 minutes on answering the question, okay? Go through the process, pause the video. Now, I hope that you are back and that you went through the process, because this is the only way that's gonna make sense to you, and that you will be able to compare, and for you to be able to be like, okay, now it makes sense. Now I know why, you know, Jorge goes through this process. You know, I'm being completely different than everyone else. And this is why, you know, I need to open more my mind and not be closed-minded, okay? Because if you don't have the results that you want right now in your IT career, that's because that's something that you don't know. Always remember that, okay? So probably your answer, like, more likely, like any other, you know, engineer will answer this way. Oh, DNS. Yes, I can tell you a lot about DNS. You know, DNS is a domain name system, and it resolves a name to an IP address, and it works with port 53. And about DHCP, it's a domain host configuration protocol, and it's port 67, and it provides IP addresses to the computers. And it goes through this process called DORA. Discover, offer, request, and acknowledge. Yeah. Oh, about VLANs, yes, VLANs, virtual local area networks, and that's on the switch. You configure that in the switch, and that's basically dividing like networks, So yeah, that's VLANs. Now, you probably noticed like, I answered the question properly, right? And I know probably you're like, oh, you should have said this and you should have said that. More a fucking definition out of fucking Google. That's when most people go through that process. They just answer, a technical question with a technical fucking definition. And that's a fucking huge mistake. And you're probably thinking at that point, yes, I got it right. Oh, yes, I got it right. They're gonna give me the job. I answered all the questions properly. Okay? And guess what? The other 20 people, they're gonna go through the same fucking process. Guess what? They answer the same question exactly the way you did, with a fucking technical answer definition. Okay? And that's another way that you need to go through it. Remember, there is 3 ways on how to answer technical questions. 3. Okay? And that is not one of them. Okay? Now let me walk you through one. Okay? And how to be a badass and answering technical questions. So now let's say that you are the manager, right? And I'm going through the process myself. And you ask me that question. Hey, Jorge, and our environment, we have a lot of things going on with DNS, with DHCP. We have a lot of switches, with a lot of, probably like a lot of VLANs. So can you tell me more about DNS, DHCP, and VLANs? And I will be, well, yes, let me walk you through DHCP. I remember a few months back, I was, working with this user, and the user was unable to connect to the network. So what I did, I came up to the user, and basically I asked, what's the issue? And she walked me through it, and yes, she was unable to connect to the network. So what I did, I went to the command prompt, and then I typed the IP config, all, and then I got that TCP/IP settings. And I noticed that the computer got an APIPA IP address. You know what's an APIPA IP address, right? And then the manager, you will reply, oh yeah, I know what's an APIPA IP address. You see what I'm doing just right there? I'm bringing you to my conversation. I'm not fucking giving you a fucking definition out of fucking Google. No, I'm walking you through a problem. That means that I'm a problem solver. That I'm walking you also, and that I'm not only know what's DHCP, but I'm giving you a scenario where I can talk about more things, that it's not just DHCP. And the biggest thing is that I'm bringing you on that conversation so we can connect. Okay? So now let me go back. So like, oh yeah, I noticed that I have an APIPA IP address. So that means that for some reason that computer was unable to get an IP address from the DHCP server, because that's exactly what it does. The DHCP server provides IP addresses to that computer, and it goes through this process. So probably that computer, was plugged in, and it sent a broadcast to the DHCP. The DHCP for some reason didn't reply, and when the computer doesn't get the offer from the DHCP, it automatically assigns an APIPA IP address. So what I did, I'm like, probably it's gonna work if I do the IP config release and renew. And guess what? It worked. So the user was happy. So yeah, move on. Now talking about DNS, we have a few servers on my previous company, or the company that I'm working right now. And I noticed that one of the other engineers built a new server. And when he told me, hey Jorge, I built a new server and everything, and he was kind of new. So what happened was that he wanted to connect to RDP, remote desktop connection, with a name, and he couldn't. But he was able to with the IP address of the server. So at that point, I noticed like, yeah, probably it has to do something with DNS, because more likely it's not registered, the name to the IP address, and that's why you're getting that issue, that you're able to connect with the IP, but not with the fully qualified domain name. So that was one issue. We were able to resolve it, boom. Now, about VLANs. VLANs, you know, on my previous position, I was working on this company, and yes, we have a few VLANs set up and everything. And what happened was that we have another office, brand new office, and basically the desktop engineers start plugging in all the computers to a switch, but they couldn't get an IP address. For some reason, there was no connection. So once I log in, I found out that those computers were connected to, you know, this Cisco switch, you know, and where the ports were connected to, those belong to a VLAN that was not related part of the DHCP, was not a pool for DHCP that was created to provide IP addresses to those computers. So that's basically what a VLAN does, you know, it basically separates networks. And if we can probably have a layer 3 switch when we can start doing that exchange, basically. And I keep going through that process. And at that point, it probably passed 5 minutes. And that conversation, because I'm having a conversation with you, the IT manager, instead of me trying to be like a badass geek technical engineer and just replying to your technical questions by giving you a technical definition. Because I know the other 20 people, they're gonna do the same. No, you don't do that. You start creating stories and you walking them through those stories. And we are fucking humans. We like stories. And you know, then the person is gonna be like thinking, not telling you, but thinking, wow, this person knows. You know, I asked 3 things about, you know, DNS, DHCP, VLAN, but he was able to walk me through a lot more. It makes sense. I like him. We were able to connect. Boom. And imagine if you go through that process with the other, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 more questions, technical questions that they're going to ask you. You will be able to kill it. And this is just one way on how to answer technical questions the right way, by telling stories and by finding that opportunity and asking them questions. By say, come on, like, do you agree? Oh, yes, yes. Remember that? Oh, yeah, yeah. Because now you are putting them in the story as well for you. And that's because you want to connect with them. Because this is another thing that I walk my students through that process, that they don't like you. First, I mean, the people that are going to go through the process, they don't like you. Okay? And you're probably thinking, why they don't like me, Jorge? Because guess what? Because of you and because the other 20 people they have to go through, they may not be able to take lunch that day. They may have to go early to work early, or to get out later, like late. Why? Because they have things to do. And you're not the only one that's going through that 30-minute, 45-minute interview process. That's other 20 people in 2 weeks. And I have things to do. And now I have to talk to you. I'm like, man, I'm going to be late for my meeting. So I don't like you. Okay? Because you're taking a lot of valuable time out of my schedule. So you need to find a way for them to connect and for them to like you. And this is just one. Think about it. What I just walked you through. Think about it, how amazing you will be in front of them. And this is only one thing. Now, if you really want to take your career to the next level, and for me to walk you everything, okay, that I teach on my coaching program, what I'm going to ask you is for you to, there should be a link underneath this video on the description. Apply, okay? You're going to get a lot of value also on that page. And if not, if you're like, I just needed this, Jorge, that's fine too, you know? Once again, we are here to give you a lot of content, a lot of value that you can apply, not fucking bullshit and information that's not gonna help you. No, I really wanna give you something that you can use right now, and it's gonna make a difference, a big difference in your IT career. And that's the reason why I'm gonna ask you for you to remember, okay, subscribe to our YouTube channel, to follow us on Facebook, and to check networkengineeracademy.com. And don't forget to like the video and to share that video. But on this video, I really give you good information that you can apply right now on how to go through your job interview process and be able to answer those technical questions. Because once again, everyone else, you know, it's gonna go through that process and answer the technical questions exactly the same by providing a technical definition. And you're gonna be the only one that's gonna go through that process completely different. And this is one just one way, and how they're gonna remember you instead of the other 20 people. So, you know what to do now, right? And once again, my name is Jorge. I'm the creator and I'm the founder of Network Engineer Academy.